All right, here we go. Welcome to Jules Investigates. I am the Squeegee of Justice. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 2 of Jules Investigates, and she has found some more filings dealing with the Maya Kowalski case and trial. Thank you for joining us for episode 2. We are very excited to have Jules back, of course, and we have Nic Starow, who I have not had the chance to meet yet. So I'm really looking forward to hearing his perspective on these filings. I want to bring Jules on, but I believe she's on the phone, so I'm going to hold off on bringing her on. But basically, I got some real high level. I can just give you a brief overview of what's going on. So Greg Anderson and Nick Whitney represented Maya and her family in the trial with J Hatch a couple years ago. And everybody thought, right, they're the dream team. We were all really excited about them. And so some things happened. So July 9th of 2024, Nick, he filed he did a motion in July 24 of 2024. And within that, he raised some concerns of Mr. Anderson over his refusal to provide a closing statement and his failure to reconcile the Kowalskis' previous cost advances against funds received. So that was July 9th. Then July 10th, Nick gets an email saying, well, his email and server access is severed and he's terminated. So he raises concerns to Greg on the 9th. The 10th, he's basically kicked out. So then on the 24th, Nick files a motion to withdraw from counsel for Maya and Jack Kowalski. And then on the 29th, Greg files a motion to strike Nick's withdrawal and order prohibiting further filings. And then December 20th, Nick is now the lawyer for Maya and Jack. So rather confusing, if you will. A lot of what we thought was a really great team seems to be severed now. So Jules, I'm going to bring you on if that's cool. Hello, Jules.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? I can hear you fine.
Nick
is okay?
Waiting, and Nick is in the background too, I think.
He is. I was going to let you introduce yourself. And just for the people that don't know you, this is the second episode of our Jules Investigates. You want to just give a brief overview of what you are, who you are, and what you represent?
Well, I guess my overview is that I just watch trials and then I report to various channels on who wants to, the information, and here I am. And, I attended Casey Anthony back in Georgia. I did Fred Tokar's, I did multiple trials here, but I guess what most know me for is the Maya trial. And that's what brings us here today.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's bring Nick up. Nick, are you ready? All right.
Hey.
Welcome, Nick. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you for having me on. Having me on.
I know it's a little bit later there for you, so I do appreciate you burning the midnight oil and coming on the show and giving us your insight as to what the heck is going on.
I'll do my best. I mean, I didn't cover the case because I've been covering the YSL trial for the past year and a half, but I did follow it.
Okay.
And I do have my 30 years of law in labor law, which is civil litigation. So I hope I can bring some clarity or speculation or somewhere in between.
And a little bit of snark, maybe?
Always.
Good. I was hoping we could get some snark out of you today. Fantastic. All right. Jules, you want to go ahead and tell us what you found?
Well, before we actually start, if it's okay with you, if I could just have a moment, I need to make a special thanks to Nic.
Absolutely, yeah.
Friday night, as everyone knows, we lost a wonderful content creator in LawTube, Jeff from Legal Vices, and I was a mod on his channel as well as guested for him several times for different trials. And as a matter of fact, we had a project coming up in September. I was going to be doing the Melly trial with him. We lost him suddenly to a heart attack. And every year, Jeff would always do what's called a very Moddy Christmas. And it was a live stream dedicated to all of his mods. And Nic, ever so graciously, Friday night, stepped in Jeff's shoes and let us all have a voice. So thank you once again, Nic, for doing that. Nice. You're appreciated. And I found Nic because of Jeff. So there you have it.
Yes. Well, thank you, Nic. I missed that stream, but I'll go back and check that out for sure, because I didn't have a chance to meet Jeff. Jules and I possibly were going to be on his channel while we were recapping Sarah Boone, but that just never quite worked out. But do you have a few words you want to say about Jeff?
But without Jeff, my channel would not be where it is today. Nowhere near. He had me on for some epic moments, with the Viking saying hi moment and the Viking drink off moment, and several other. And no matter what subject, we always ended up belly laughing. Oh,
that's great. That's a great way to remember somebody that you had a belly laugh with. I like that. Very good. Yep. Everybody. Yep.
So let's get down to business.
Yes.
As you know, I attended 9 weeks every day of the trial, and the people here in the chat that mostly everyone knows that I was given the name Notorious Jules by J Hatch, and that's where this name originated from. In any case, I they won their suit, the Kowalski family. They deserved it. They went through 8 years of hell. And unfortunately, something transpired this summer. And I did not report on it, but there was some sort of a disagreement, so to speak, between Nic Whitney and Greg Anderson. Now, Nic Whitney worked at Greg Anderson's firm. They did the case together along with Samantha Lawrence and Trilogy trial consultants, and they had a really good team put in place, and they brought this case home for the Kowalski family, deservedly so. And I've been keeping up on the appeals process, and the briefs will be heard on February the 12th. But in July, I always check the docket, and I came across, a document where Nic Whitney was withdrawing from the case. And I kind of read between the lines a bit, but I didn't report on it because I thought, well, maybe this is just a misunderstanding, or actually I didn't think that at first. At first I thought, oh, maybe he was opening up his own firm, or something bigger and better came along for him, which deservedly so. Nic's a great guy. And then, about 10 days later, then there was another document that was filed by Greg Anderson, and it was a pretty scathing document, which then led me to believe that there was trouble in paradise between the two attorneys. And again, I refrained from reporting on it because I was hoping that it was just a misunderstanding and that this would be something that would work its way through. And then Friday, at the end of the day, a bombshell fell, and the Kowalskis have parted ways with Greg Anderson. Now, when Nic filed his withdrawal as attorney of record for the Kowalski family did file an affidavit with the court that they were okay and that they were staying with Greg and moving forward with Greg. But Friday, that all changed. And if I read the document correctly, and that's where Nic is going to come in, the Kowalski family fired Greg Anderson. And the biggest bombshell ever is they have retained Nic Whitney as their attorney. So there's some sort of shakeup going on. I sent the documents to Nic, and Nic, it's on you now, buddy. I think you're muted, Nic.
Yeah, you gotta unmute.
You're muted.
Sorry.
There you go.
All right. I'm right into the hot seat here.
Yes, we're throwing you to the lions.
All right. Yeah. Now I went through the three documents you sent me. I have, when reading through them, there's always something missing. In the wordings where you have to read in a bit in between the lines, and it is strange because my initial theory was, okay, we know this is an extremely costly case for the attorneys, and the Andersons mortgaged their house. Also revealed was that they took in lenders, and these lenders, it's more or less people who, like in poker, you can stake someone for a win. You put in money and you get something in return if they win. And they had a few of those to keep this case going. So my initial theory in this was that in order for this case to keep going, if the Andersons they might have ran out of money, which in that case, okay, let's have a new firm step in. They leave. For instance, this has happened before in other civil cases, that a new firm who believes in the verdict, they can bring it in. They have a completely new fundings, and so they buy the old firm out, or with a lesser stake in the coming settlement. So that was my initial theory here. But with all the twists and turns with Mr. Whitney more or less being removed from the Anderson firm, and then initially the Kowalskis going, we are staying with the Andersons, and then 6 months later they are changing to Whitney. And that's strange, because when you start a new firm, as Whitney seems to have done, there's no cash in that firm. So my initial theory is kind of invalid unless Mr. Whitney has some backers himself. So it is really, really strange, because in these high-profile civil litigations, people tend to stick with the same firm. Yeah, even if it means in a later settlement that they might get a lower outcome, they keep sticking to the same firm, and here they don't, which tells me they have more faith in Whitney. But
I have a question. There was one document that Nick Whitney filed, and unfortunately, I don't have my hands on it at the moment, but he intimated in the document that the reason why the Andersons let him go was because there was, I don't know, some sort of, see, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know what this means, but he was, I guess, Mr. Anderson was supposed to file some sort of paperwork with the itemized settlement funds or whatever. There was some sort of cash payout or a loan, or some sort of a loan is what I took by it for the Kowalskis, and he was supposed to do some sort of filing, and that he never did. And then when Nick Whitney questioned Greg Anderson about it, the very next day, Nick Whitney was completely gone. They shut him out of his email. They shut him out of everything in the law firm. And then boom, said, you no longer work here. And that's when Nick filed the thing to withdraw from the case. And then Greg files that scathing document, which led me to believe that this is about money here, and saying that, and that he brought it to J Hatch, and Hunter said, leave us out of this. So there's definitely something. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but it seems like one person was doing something one way and the other person was doing something the way it was supposed to be done. And when they questioned the other person got angry. And that's how this whole thing blew up. What I find interesting is that the Kowalski family filed that affidavit stating that they were happy and were staying with the Anderson firm, and which is obviously is their right to do. But in the interim, Trilogy Trial Consultants has now filed a lawsuit against Greg Anderson for unpaid funds. They had a contract for a down payment of $50,000. Greg Anderson gave them $20,000. The overall total cost of the trial came out to be $200,000, and the Andersons did not pay that bill, and now they're being sued by Trilogy, who was there throughout the whole trial. So now, that last document I sent to you, am I correct in interpreting that the Kowalski family fired Anderson? Is that correct?
Well, it's a change of firm, which they are entitled to do, and it doesn't say if it is if they are in disagreement or anything. It's just a filing. We are changing firms, so it's hard to make any inferences to it. But if they, 5 months ago, were happy with the Andersons, and now boom, no further explanations. We are going with Whitney. So yeah, I think it's a correct assumption that the Anderson firm was fired.
Now, I have a few things that I want to talk about. So Nic Whitney is with Childers Law, and they were founded in 2009. And they're yeah.
So it's not his own firm. So he joined another firm who is now taking over the case. Okay, that makes more sense. Because
only according to this filing. I'm only going off of this filing because if you look at the second page, page 2 of the December 20th, it says Childers Law, Gainesville, Florida. And then I looked them up, and they were founded in 2009, and their estimated revenue is 0 to 1 million with 1 to 10 employees. So that just kind of gives you a little bit of background there. So he joined them, I guess. He didn't start his own firm. He joined them.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. So they do have, to your point, I would assume they do have some working capital. And then second of all, if I can read this is the motion to withdraw. To your point, Jules, it was on July 9th, Nic Whitney raised concerns over Mr. Anderson over his refusal to provide a closing statement, his failure to notify our appellate and referring counsel in this case of the receipt of settlement and financing proceeds, and his failure to reconcile the Kowalskis' previous cost advances against funds received. Then the very next day, he's kicked out. The server and his email is severed. So that, he's a numbers guy, right? Nic is the numbers guy. So he clearly saw something that was not jiving with what he felt was appropriate. I don't know. I don't want to speak illy, but something was something. So then the other thing I want to bring up is, wasn't there some money from the suing of the nurse that they got like $2 million or something? And
that was Sally Smith.
Yeah. So there was some working capital, but you're right. Greg and the Andersons, they had to sell their house and in order to continue on with this. So I don't know.
They sold the house. They did put in a second or third mortgage.
Oh, did they? Okay.
They got finances through their house.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Yeah. So, and then what I find most intriguing is that there's one motion that Nic is withdrawing, but then you're right, Nic, and then 6 months later, here he is representing them again. Like what do you make of that? Is that common? Or, I know this is a very uncommon case to begin with, but what do you think about that?
That is not common to this series of events. When I see this happen, they go where it's a larger firm who buys the case from a smaller firm because the smaller firm doesn't have the funds for it. For instance, you have that in the movie, what's it called again, with Julia Roberts? That big settlement case movie.
Oh, with the not 3 Mile Island, or was it 3 Mile Island?
No. What's
Erin knows, and she's outside. Maybe she'll drop it in the comment. Yeah, she loves them. Erin Brockovich. Yeah. In the beginning of a quarter into the movie, they are trying to sell the case to larger firms to get the funds, and that is the standard practice to get a larger firm involved with much larger war chest. Right.
But here they seem to go from one small firm to another small firm. And that is a bit unusual.
But they also knew Nic. It's not like they didn't know Nic. He is a familiar entity, if you will, and they probably felt comfortable with him. And, instead of finding somebody who they didn't know,
I can honestly attest to what Chris just said. The family was the family was close with both the Andersons and the Whitneys, but I can tell you this. Maya was very close with Nic. My concern is, I know that this isn't going to affect the appeal. This is separate from the appeal. correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the bottom line here is, who actually is going to be on the hook for all the legal fees that was incurred from, don't forget, Anderson took this on in 2018, right up to 2024, the trial, the experts, I mean, everything that was done, pre-trial motions, post-trial motions, you name it. Who's on the hook for that? All those legal fees now?
Well, the legal fees, if the appeal is successful for the Kowalskis, is John Hopkins. And but then they have to go into court in order for the court to determine these are the legal fees and who to receive it. So that is after the appeal is done, and this is only the first one. There will probably be more than this appeal. If it's successful for the Kowalskis, then everybody presents their legal fees to the court. We, the Andersons, represented the Kowalskis for this number of years. These are our numbers. This is what we expect. And
But
then
Nic,
there's...
I'm sorry to interrupt, but Nic Whitney was with the firm that whole time, and now he's not. So what happens to Nic?
Well, he has a claim against the Andersons for the legal fees that the Anderson firm gets. So he will have a claim to the Anderson firm, unless he was salaried. But then if they haven't paid him, then he has a claim for that one. So I don't know exactly how the Anderson, how they chose to reimburse their attorneys. If they already claim he's already been reimbursed, or if he has a claim for it. And those are in contracts that we probably won't be able to see.
And let me just jump in with, in case people didn't hear or didn't know or weren't clear, Nic is now the personal representative of the estate of Beata Kowalski, Jack, and Maya. So that's what he is doing specifically. He's the personal representative of the estate and of Maya and Jack. So whatever that entails, it entails, but it may not be specific to the appeals process. We don't know, or it could be, right? We're not sure.
No, they have to have a separate lawyer for the appeals. But but Nic, what does personal representative in legal terms mean?
Well, he represents them in more or less any and all matters regarding the estate. It could be public relations. It could be how to. He might not be the negotiator, but he's the person who sits in with the family, explains to the family this is what's going on. But again, with his new firm, I don't know his contract with the new firm. So he might be directly involved in the litigations as well. It's all up to the new firm, how they use him. He might even be involved in the appeals process.
Sure. Yeah, review all the documents, the legalese, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, because this new firm has 8 years of filings to go through. So having Whitney there to guide the new firm through all of this, so
is an asset.
Right? He's an asset for the firm as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. I would think so. Yeah. So, is this the right time then to talk about the July 29th filing that Greg filed? Do you guys want to talk about that yet, or do you want to finish up?
Yeah.
Because to me, that's where it gets juicy. If it's going to get juicy, because Nic's with motion to withdraw his counsel, we kind of covered, and it was basically he kind of thought there was something wasn't quite right with the way he felt. Mr. Anderson, it raised concerns over his refusal to provide a closing statement. So Nic saw something that he didn't feel right about, and then he has to withdraw as counsel. And then Anderson came back with saying this is all something that should not be burdening the court. And this is from July 29th. And then furthermore, the withdrawing counsel makes scandalous allegations against the undersigned counsel in the firm of Anderson Glenn, but in doing so also reveals confidential attorney-client, work product, and accountant-client privilege and financial privilege information. So that doesn't sound good. What do you guys think about that? That was on page 2. Sorry, Nic, if you're, I'm on the July 29th, page 2.
Yeah, I'm going back to see in the motion to withdraw as counsel where the claim is and he does reveal a few things that is unnecessary, but if it goes to the level of revealing work product, I'm not so sure.
Yeah. And I don't like this line either. There was and is no need for this airing of dirty laundry in what should be a simple consent pleading. It is a waste of judicial resources and utterly irrelevant. Doesn't sound like Greg is too happy.
No.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely
no,
not.
He's not happy, but I don't believe that he revealed work product. I think he was saying, look, this is what I asked to be done, and Greg never did it. And when I questioned why he didn't do it, boom, I was let go.
Yeah, as I read it, this is a dispute between attorneys.
Yeah.
Not necessarily between attorney and client. Not necessarily, but
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. It doesn't seem that it's Nic saw something that Greg was or was not doing, and he brought that concerns, and then the next day he was let go. So it's definitely between those two for sure.
Yeah, because his filing was July 24th, and I think the line that is of concern is
that's the 2-page filing you're referring to?
No, I'm still on page 1. He says here, I raised concern with Mr. Anderson over his refusal to provide a closing statement. That's the financial statement. His failure to notify our appellate and referring counsel, in this case, of the receipt of settlement and financing proceeds, and his failure to reconcile the Kowalskis' previous cost advances against funds received.
Yeah.
I don't think this reaches work product. It is, but I kind of agree with Anderson. It's not necessary to have that in his motion to withdraw. You usually only write in irreparable inconsistencies or something of that sort.
Right.
And then because even if it might not be work product or anything like that, it is not nice towards the Kowalskis to have that out. But apparently, since the Kowalskis now went with Whitney, so they found a way to move through that.
And then, Jules, you touched on this. The July 29th response from Greg was, to his credit, even Mr. Hunter, no particular friend of the plaintiffs or their counsel, simply states, leave us out of this, ! To which Greg says, amen. So even J Hatch doesn't want to touch this. Yikes.
Yeah.
Oh, they are happy with any kind of delay. Because any kind of delay means more costs. And because the J Hatch, John Hopkins, or John's drop kids, they are playing the long game in bankrupting everybody who is against it. Because, folks, remember, in all of this, bad guy is still John Hopkins. I mean, in a recent event in New York, a person, he's at the CEO case, and a good number of people says he deserved it. He's the CEO of a medical provider thingy, which is not a good thing. In comparison, John Hopkins, what they do are magnitudes worse.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion, I have to add that John Hopkins more or less actively mistreats children.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And that is my opinion as well.
And they do it to make money. Because if you find, for instance, in the Maya Kowalski case, they had something that worked. And they denied that, and then everything and the kitchen sink and unnecessary procedures and a lot of people, that all cost money.
Yeah.
So remember, in all of this, it's still John Hopkins. So who is the bad guy?
I'm going to pull this up. I don't necessarily know if it was the plan, Amica fan. I'm not sure if it was the plan, but J Hatch is probably dancing. They're probably pleased about this infighting, if you will.
When you're up against more or less an infinite wallet, as in the John Hopkins, then money becomes an issue. And disputes against with money in a law firm who is up against this infinite wallet, it has effects.
Yeah, the more they can kick it down the road, the better. I'm sorry, Jules. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I have a legal / ethical question for Nic. If it was found out through whatever means that, and I'm not saying that this is a fact because I don't know it to be a fact, okay? Hypothetically speaking, if it was found out that Anderson was doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing, and it could have indirectly or directly harmed the Kowalski family, would it not be the right thing for the Kowalski family to do is sever their ties with Anderson and go with Whitney, because Whitney knows the ins and outs of the case because he was on it for so long as well? I mean, wouldn't that be the right thing? It wouldn't be that, the Kowalskis just abandoned Anderson after everything Anderson did for them. What if Anderson literally has done something wrong? Hypothetically, I'm speaking.
Well, in that case, they have a statute of limitations in order to bring actions from when they found out until when they can bring a case. And unless we see that within that time limit, we can assume it is not worth it, because they still have this $258 million payout to expect. And if whatever happened is a number that is too low, then they might not even care. And in these months that ensued, we don't know what other law firms they might have contacted in order to bring this. And few law firms want to go up against a behemoth like the John Dropkits. And I know, I still say John Dropkits because it's funny.
It made me chuckle. It still does.
So there are a lot of factors here that we don't know, and maybe we shouldn't know. But it doesn't pass the smell test.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
Well, let's to that point. Greg definitely thinks this is airing dirty laundry, and he says as much. But then he also says there's an affidavit by Jack Kowalski who testifies that the undersigned counsel, which would be Greg Anderson, has provided him, Jack, with all information as to all costs, payments of costs, negotiations to reduce certain excessive costs, all disbursements, and all handling of money. So Jack signed an affidavit saying, yeah, it's everything's on the up and up. But clearly Nic saw something that caused him for concern. So I don't know.
With all due to Jack Kowalski, he's not an accountant.
Yeah. True.
So based on his knowledge, he can sign the affidavit.
Yeah.
Based on what Greg Anderson communicated to Jack.
Yeah. Yeah. Then it becomes a little bit more like head scratching.
Because if you're going to check up on your lawyer, you need a lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a shame. It's a shame that it's gotten to this.
So, yeah, it is. But in all of this, did the John Dropkids plan for this? No, but it can be an effect of them dragging this out, because money causes problems, especially if you're at the bottom of your war chest and you're already in debt, and you may or may not be seeking new fundings. And with new fundings, these lenders, or stakers, they want to cut. Yeah. And speculatively, if the negotiations with the lenders or stakers were not satisfactory to the Kowalskis, that could also explain the change. Because if they refuse these new offers to keep the case going, then a change of law firm comes natural.
Yeah. So I've pulled out another little section here that Greg Anderson states. Let's see. There was and is no basis for these allegations. Withdrawing counsel was very well compensated even before this case is over, but it wasn't just enough for the withdrawing counsel. So to me, that's him saying Nic was well compensated, but I don't necessarily think that that's what Nic Whitney is saying. He's saying, I think more it's the Kowalskis that possibly weren't getting all of their funding. So I don't know. I think that sounds a little off target, if you will, in that statement. Like, I don't think Nic is saying, hey, you guys didn't pay me. It seems like he's saying, hey, something's going on with the Kowalskis and their reimbursements or something. Mm-hmm. Did I interpret that correctly, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think you do, because it's a small diversion from what Mr. Whitney is bringing forward.
Yeah.
Because in his withdrawal of counsel, he doesn't say he didn't get. Let's just skim through it.
Yeah. He just states that he was basically fired a day after he raised concerns. Yeah, it doesn't once say like what you read in that second paragraph on the July 24th filing. It says nothing about I didn't get paid. It's all about, Maya and the Kowalskis. Something's going on over there. And then finally, I have kind of a closing for Greg from Greg is, it is hard to describe the level of harm inflicted on the Kowalski family. They want peace. They want an end to the controversy. They want to be left alone. That is the job of counsel, to protect the plaintiffs from any further unnecessary controversy. That is why the plaintiffs have burdened this court with a response. So he just kind of wants this to be done. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, it is done now because for all intents and purposes, the Kowalski family has parted ways with Mr. Anderson. And to me, I'm taking that as something happened that didn't sit well with this family, and they left and they went to the next person that they trusted and knew was familiar with the case in its entirety. That's how I'm taking it.
Yeah, I agree. I would go, I would choose somebody who I had a relationship with already, who's familiar with the case. Like Nic, you said, why start over? There's 8 years of 8 years of paperwork they have to go through. I mean, why not go with somebody who's already familiar with the case, Lego My Christmas, you have no idea what's happening. We'll recap it. Don't worry. We'll recap it for you. Oh, hey, I want to pull this one up about Dr. Joe. We did episode 1, our initial launch of Jules Investigates was that. Now that's a little different because that's HCA. That's not JHatch.
Not J Hatch.
So it's a little different. Although JHatch is probably possibly happy because clearly Dr. Joe testified in a not so kind way against them, but I'm sure they're happy that he's having problems.
This is 2 totally different situations.
Yeah.
Nic, the briefs are going to be heard on February the 12th. So for those in the chat that aren't familiar with how appeals courts work and such, can you give a synopsis here on what that means when the briefs are going to be presented to the appeals court, and if all of this other side nonsense is going to have any effect with the appeals court?
No. For the record, I'm not I'm not American based. I practice in Sweden, but the 2 years I've been covering American cases and all the US based lawyers I have been talking to my understanding, I have to add on here, the briefs are more or less, it's an initial for the appeals court where both parties bring a synopsis of this is what to expect in this appeal. And well, we can assume then that John Dropkids will do what they normally do, lie and embellish and ignore basic facts. And this new law firm, I mean, this was filed not that long ago. I almost expect a continuance first of the New Year's. Yes,
Wow.
a continuance from this new law firm, because 8 years of litigation and they have 2 months to get up to speed. I would expect a continuance that this will not, because they have to. The Anderson might have had everything knocked pinned down. This is how we're going with it. That might not be the tactics of this new law firm. They have to go through everything. The trial, 9 weeks of trial, testimony, the judge's decision, the wordings in the judge's decision. Is there anything in there? I mean, cross the T's, dot the I's. So I would expect to see continuous or stay, if you will, depending on what the legal language is there. So I would expect a filing of that the first couple of weeks of January.
Now, it's to my understanding that when you file the briefs for the appeals court, it's got to do with, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it's got to do with any of the rulings that they felt that the judge made incorrectly. Like J Hatch is going to say, I do happen to know one of the things that they are going to say. They do not feel that they should have been held. Beata's unaliving of herself should not have been a part of this case, and that Judge Carroll ruled saying it is a part of this case. So I'm throwing that out as an example. So they are going to be arguing things that Judge Carroll did, correct?
Yeah, we will probably see a repetition of their attempts to vacate the decision in the lower court, including what they believe what the judge his rulings on specific issues that might have implications on other pieces of evidence. It's a normal appeals process, but yeah, the first step here is for J. Hatch to try to undermine more or less everything. And we know that from the trial, pre-trial, how they try to vacate, they will throw everything.
Yeah.
No, this is not like in a criminal appeal where you take the 3 or 5 most important things that you want said and then a summary of the rest. They will treat everything equally important, just as they did in in their attempts to vacate. The tiniest detail, the minute detail, the spelling of a word, I don't know. I wouldn't. It's J. Hatch. John Stropkits. I mean,
Well,
they will go, and the reason is they are trying to bury this appeals process in documents, paperwork, and everything, because it drains the funds of the Kowalskis.
Yeah.
well, here, obviously you're aware that I spent every day in that courtroom, and at any time that there was a motion that came up from either side, whether they didn't want a certain person classified as an expert or whatever the motions were, I clearly remember that when Judge Carroll made his rulings, every time he made a ruling, he cited statutes in his rulings and he referred to everything. So to me, in my opinion, he crossed all his T's and dotted all his I's to make sure that he didn't do anything that could come back on him for an appeal.
Yeah, I mean, he was extremely thorough, overly thorough in some cases, addressing everything. But yeah, I do believe, I mean, as much as he could do, he crossed the T's and dotted the I's, and J. Hatch they don't care. They will bring it up again, finding some obscure case from 1721 or whatever's that really doesn't apply, but they will try because it drains the funds of the Kowalskis. And the Kowalskis have to reply to it.
Yep. Everything they do costs money, as we know,
Yeah.
And so is that ultimately, I guess, it's obvious, but I want to hear you guys say it. Is that the end game for J. Hatch? Is ultimately Maya is going to say enough's enough and just drop the case and walk away? I mean,
I would assume that they will. When these kinds of entities as J. Hatch, and we've seen. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but there are plenty of cases where large firms, large entities with infinite money, they just wait for people to die.
Yeah.
Or go bankrupt. Because they have the funds for it.
Yeah.
I'm going to put myself out on a limb here. And
oh boy.
Yeah. and then I'm just going to let it go.
Okay.
There is no way on God's green earth that Jack Kowalski and his children will ever back down and say, we're done. No, they won't.
But ultimately, it might not be their decision to make, sadly. Because if they go bankrupt, then
what? Yeah.
Then what?
Then what?
And if they run out of law firms ready now, with this amount, with 258 million, there will be law firms at least taking a stab at it. But at that point in time, it might be not 8 years of litigation; it might be 12 years of litigation. That new firm has to And at some point, there are easier, sadly, there are easier money to go for than the 258 million.
Or then the Kowalskis at some point, and all this is all just us, theorizing and whatever, is that instead of the 260 or 260, they say, okay, we'll settle on a lesser amount. Now they may not want that, but just to get this in the rearview mirror, maybe they do settle on something that's less. What do you guys think about that?
It's possible, but I will say this. I think it's unlikely because I can verify that before trial even started, there were negotiations, and even though Ethan Shapiro denied this during trial, I pulled up the documents to prove that he was lying. J. Hatch did on 2 occasions make an offer of settlement, and it didn't even cover freaking legal fees. I mean, it was ridiculous. All right.
Yeah,
and so rightfully so, they turned it down. And then, as you are all aware, that after trial was over, but Judge Carroll suggested to J. Hatch and the Anderson firm to sit with a mediator and see if they could mediate a figure, and they couldn't even sit in a room for an hour. Inside of an hour, boom, boom, it was done. It was over. J. Hatch just refused to play ball.
Yeah.
So there were times where, yes, the family would be open, but, there are legal fees. And,
well, J. Hatch is probably offering them like 10 million or something, or 5 million. It's like a slap in the face,
Yeah, but whatever amount of money they offer, it will always come with a "we are not to blame" clause.
Yeah, that's true. You accept this, then
because blame clause opens up for more litigation from other parties who is probably just waiting for this to settle.
Yeah.
So they can bring their suits.
Yep. Yeah. Great point.
Yeah.
And with a $258 million loss verdict, then because I hate to say this, but there are probably worse cases in the pipeline for J. Hatch.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
There's a case pending right now. There's a case against J. Hatch, same area, that's pending right now. No, there hasn't been a trial date set yet, but yes, there is another litigant. Yes, there is.
Yikes. Can you imagine? Oof.
Yeah, but because the reason why I say it might be worse cases out there is because the people J. Hatch hired.
Yeah.
And these are the same type of people that caused the satanic panic in the 90s. These are the same type of people who claims repressed memories. These are the same type of people who does these kind of things. The shaken baby syndrome. These are the people that J. Hatch hired.
Right.
So when I say there might be worse cases out there, I don't think I'm cynic. I do believe that.
No, you're a realist.
And I'm not gonna. I started out in this case being unbiased, and as the trial went on, yes, I will admit, then I became biased, and I was 100% for the family. I still am, and I just don't want whatever this is that's happening to adversely affect Jack, Maya, and Kyle because
Mhm.
they don't deserve it. And I
Mhm.
truly believe in my heart that Jack would not have made the decision that he made to let go of Anderson and move over to Whitney if he didn't have a damn good reason to do so.
Sure, sure. Oh, absolutely. I mean, this as we're reading, it could. Well, Greg is saying, the Kowalskis want closure. They don't want this drama. Who wants this drama?
No.
So I'm sure. And Jack's an intelligent individual. Maya, they're smart people. They probably talked about this for many nights, before they made that decision. And
Absolutely. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right, Chris. And I can tell you this, that Jack, and he's always been this way, Jack has never done anything without sitting Maya and Kyle down, and they discuss it as a family and they make their decisions based as a family.
Yeah.
This is a tight family, a loving family. And this has been hell for them, and I do want to see it come to a conclusion. I mean, even though they won the case and now it's under appeals, they just want a normal life. They haven't had a normal life since this whole thing started, and they deserve it.
Yeah. And there's no statute for appeals, right? You can't say, it has to be resolved within a certain time frame, right? It could, Nic, to your point, this could go on until somebody passes away, basically.
Yeah.
There should be a law.
Well, Nic, if after the briefs, say there's not going to be a continuance, say the briefs are going to go forward on the 12th, because I did check the docket again today, and it is still on schedule for February 12th. So say the two appellate attorneys for each side gives their briefs in front of the judges. Obviously, I know that the judges are not going to make a ruling on the 12th, but they will be asking both parties questions that they may have in regards to their briefs. And we may not get an answer maybe 6-8 months down the road. But just hypothetically speaking, if the appellate court comes back and rules against J Hatch, then what? Is it over? Is it finally over?
It's still not over.
They will appeal that as well.
I mean, forever in perpetuity? I mean, does this just keep getting appealed, or is at some point you can't appeal it anymore? Like, how does that work?
Well, what they can do is appeal different aspects of the ruling in separate actions.
Okay.
And technically, and then all the continuous. I mean, there are examples of civil litigations that are 20, 25, 30 years of litigations.
Yeah.
And almost all of those, either it's inheritance, divorce, or big firm.
Right. Now, do you think eventually this could get to the Supreme Court? Do you think it could eventually get up that high, or no?
No, not in civil litigation.
No. Okay. All right. So that's only criminal then, I guess.
Yeah. To my knowledge, at least.
Okay. Because I'm trying to think of the.
It should end in, because this is still just a state case.
Right.
So I don't know if state-wise the Supreme Court can bring this in as aspects of law. But I mean, if that is the case, then there have been cases for decades that could have been ruled on in this way. But also ultimately, this might not help the Kowalskis. But Jesus Christ, talk to your local politicians, state Congress, the state congressman.
Here.
woman.
There should be a law, a time limit. Yeah, well, that's legislation. Then we have to, like you said, we have to bring that to our legislators and do some sort of time frame.
Yeah, and then you also have to remind ourselves that these politicians, regardless if it's Democrat, Republican, or Independent, are often funded by these big entities.
Yep. Both sides too. It's not just one side. I'm sure Jay Hatch is giving to both sides. I would. Yep.
I remember I was on a stream right after or during when this happened, where we went through, okay, Jay Hatch locally and national. I think we found up towards $5 or $10 million in political fundings.
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull it up.
You're correct. You're absolutely correct, Nic.
Which, in my opinion, if now they can sponsor the party as is, or they will do one of these organizations that is not the party, but if they fund specific judges or specific legislators, I mean, there's an old meme that says politicians should be like NASCAR drivers. Every sponsor should be on their jacket.
Agreed. Well, it does seem like Johns Hopkins has given more to one party than the other. I'm not going to say which one, but it is pretty overwhelmingly one party versus the other. I thought it might be a little closer to 50-50, but it does seem like it leans towards one. But I'm not going to get into that.
No, not going down that road.
So this February 12th, if they aired, I think some people were asking if they aired. Yeah, we will definitely stream it. Do you guys either want to come on live or we'll do a recap afterwards? Is that something you'd be interested in doing?
Sure. If I have the time for it,
of course.
Then yeah, definitely. Because I'm interested in this case.
Okay.
And I didn't have the chance to cover it during the trial, but the appeals process, yeah, because that's more a matter of law that I am not overly familiar with.
Okay.
So that, and I do believe that it's people generally stop caring after the verdict. Oh, they got 258 million, and then people went off.
Right.
They thought it's over and done. Oh no, no, folks.
Yeah.
Oh, it barely started.
Yeah, far from over. Far from over. Yeah, like you said, it's barely started. That was like the pregame warm up or something, and now the game is starting. All right. Yeah, I don't want to.
I will, as long as they allow the public in for the arguing of the briefs, because I'm right here now. I will attend, and I know for a fact that it is going to be a live hearing. But I want to be inside. I want to be inside.
Okay. So we'll do a recap then. We can do a recap either later that day or the next day, whatever fits your guys' schedules. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's cool.
But
all right, we'll stream it if like you said, it is streamable. We will stream it. Do you guys want to add anything else, or I think we've kind of covered everything. What do you think? Anything else?
I'm good. I mean, my last line is that I don't think that this was a lawsuit that should not have been brought. I think the Kowalskis had every right to do so. I think that they were harmed on so many different levels, and I think that they deserve justice, and I think it needs to be swift justice, and let this family get on with their lives.
I agree. And Jules, OnlyFans said January 12th. I don't believe that's correct. It's February 12th?
February 12th.
Okay, so February 12th, guys. So let me see. Appeals. Let's see.
Yeah, I sent the link to Aaron. So yes, it's February 12th.
So Melissa N says on a recent Nobody Should Believe Me podcast, a date. Ethan Shapiro emailed them telling them about it, and Anderson is going to be responsible for all fees to this point. Doesn't sound good. Okay. That's okay,
I don't
OnlyFans.
listen to
We'll
that.
forgive you.
I don't listen to that podcast. There is a podcast out there. Nobody should believe me, but I don't listen to it. So
Okay. I like the name. Nobody should believe me. All right, Nic. Well, where can we find you? I know we've been posting it for our chat, but Aaron, can you post Nic's YouTube?
Well, you can search for this one. I am on X, YouTube, and Rumble.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I cover, well, it's a lot of Georgia things right now and Fulton County things. My next item I will be covering is, it's a surge of self-endings in Fulton County Jail the last 5 or 6 years, where people are found unresponsive in their jail cell, and with little or no examinations. Oh, it was self-ending.
Mm-hmm. I heard about that. Yeah, I heard about. So you're doing a deep dive on that, or you're investigating that, or what are you doing on that?
I am going into, because I had a family reach out to me who said, we just want to know. Mm-hmm. So I am incorporating the Sterling Williams self-ending from April of this year.
Okay.
And also Mr. Holland and Mr. Fortner. Mm-hmm. And it's 4 that I know of.
Wow.
Up until April of this year, of self-endings of people in Fulton County Jail.
Okay, I'll definitely check that out, because I remember hearing about that earlier this year, and I'm sure it happens elsewhere, but specifically Fulton County. Yeah, I would be interested in watching that. So I'll definitely I'll be viewing that, and I hope a lot of our chat comes over and subscribes to you and watches you as well.
Thank you so much.
So thank you, Nic, for being with us. I will let you go, and then Jules, you and I will do a little chatting before I let you go.
Okay, thank you very, very much, Nic. As usual, you're just the greatest. I am so glad that I got to know you through Jeff. And thank you for having me on your stream, and I will look forward to being on your stream in the future.
Yeah. Now, if you haven't had the offer before, because by September, everything in the YSL case should be settled. Okay. And I would be happy to do the 1W Melly retrial with you.
Are you?
What?
I'm gonna cry, because that was mine and Jeff's project we were gonna be working on together. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
But there's a lot of Jeff, the Vice Squad of Jeff, which is other content creators, lawyers, and others. We are picking up what Jeff didn't get to finish. And, well, I covered, because I'm the whitest man on the planet, who's better to cover black rapper trials?
I can't think of anybody more perfect. You'll bring a unique perspective. I'm sure you'll be spectacular, as always.
We'll definitely talk, Nic, for sure. We'll talk. That's coming up in September. So yeah.
And now with September also, I will be in Utah in September.
Are you going to go visit Jeff's family?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God.
So it will be an on the road trial coverage of the 1W Melly, but I expect it to start before I get there and end after I get home again.
So then you're going to be in Florida?
No, Utah.
Yeah, why would he be in Florida?
You told me the last time you came to the States, you were in Georgia. I said, are you coming to Florida? You said no, on my next trip.
But since the developments have happened, and I can't do it all. I simply don't have the funds for it. Oh. Well, unless you guys subscribe. And
There you
check all my
go.
stuff and
Go
add revenue.
flood Nic with money so he can come to Florida.
Yeah, I want Nic in Florida, guys.
Yeah,
I really do.
yeah.
We
Yeah,
gotta
because I
make
want
it.
to visit you and Steve Gosney and do what I did in the YSL. I went to the courthouse and
I
checked.
know you did.
Yeah. Yeah, Nic, the United States is a small little country. You could bop about.
Yeah, I mean, I traveled from Houston to Detroit this summer, and
Yeah.
I barely skimmed anything of it.
That should
I
have only,
did-
that should
I
have only
did
taken you
find-
5 minutes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. I did find the Sasquatch Museum and Research Center in Blue Ridge, Georgia, which was
Nice.
amazing.
Nice.
And I'm sure in Florida there are similar places to visit.
Oh, yes, there are. Trust me. You may even see Florida Man while you're here.
There's a Florida man. Oh well, yeah. Florida man is more or less all of them.
You just stick your head out the window and you'll see a Florida Man.
Yeah. All right.
All right, Nic.
Yeah,
Thank you so much,
anywhere.
man.
That would be
Appreciate it.
great. Oh my God, I would love to go to Mellie's trial and sit and me and Nic sit together. Oh, how awesome that would be.
All right, Nic. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Nic.
All right. We'll
Thank
see
you.
ya. Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye. I love
All right,
that
so
man.
definitely go and subscribe to Nic. Go give him money so he can come and visit Jules in Florida. We'll start a GoFundMe. Go fund Nic's trip to Jules.
Absolutely.
All right.
I'll put him up and everything. He won't have to get a hotel room.
And here we'll plug you, Jules, the notorious Jules, on X/Twitter, on TikTok. Jules is on the TikTokies.
Yeah, but I haven't been doing much on TikTok. But I mean, if you want to push it, you can. But I haven't done anything.
I know. It's okay. It's okay.
I've just been doing you guys, and I was doing various YouTube channels, and then
Sure.
live coverage on Twitter. But yeah, sure, to hit my TikTok up, maybe I'll get it going.
Yeah, right on. All right. Do you want to say anything before you go? Any last words about this situation? It's kind of sad in a way, but what do you think?
It is sad because I really adored, like during trial, I really adored Greg Anderson and Nick Whitney on how they worked together. I liked Nick's performance because he would get up and he would get right to the point, go for the juggler, make his point, sit down. And that was it. And the thing that I was impressed with the most was at the end of the trial during closing arguments. This is just something that I will never forget. When Nick did his closing, he brought up the movie about the children that lost their mother. And if I could have one more day, and I've got goosebumps just thinking about that right now.
Yeah, sure.
And I feel like I just feel like that was the way to go. I'm sad what happened. I'm sad what happened with between Nic and Greg. However, I am very happy that the Kowalskis decided to not go outside the realm, but to embrace Nic. And on that note, before I say goodbye, I want to introduce a little girl.
Oh, please do. Oh, who's that?
I'm her granddaughter.
No way. I thought you were her sister.
No.
Okay.
Tell me what your name is.
My name is Skylar.
Skylar. Hello, Skylar. How are you?
I'm good.
That's Chris right there. Say hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hi. Are you
And
going to
this-
be, so we're having a Christmas Eve special tomorrow about this time. Are you going to be around? Just pop in and say hello?
Probably.
Probably.
Are you? Get up on the chair so
Oh
they
my
can
gosh.
see you. Get up on the chair so they can see you.
So I
Tell them
understand you
what
want to, yeah, you want to have a YouTube channel, right? Is that what I understand?
Yeah.
What's it going to be?
It's gonna be a gaming channel.
A gaming channel? Is it going to be you cleaning your room?
No, that's not gaming.
That's not, that's not gaming. It could be. How fast can you clean your room?
Probably an hour or two.
Yeah. Oh, can I hire you? Do you come and clean other rooms?
No.
No. Yeah, don't accept that. I hate to clean my room. Trust me, I'm with you. So that's cool. All right. So what kind of games do you play?
Roblox. I don't play the actual Minecraft, but I have a game called Minecraft Education. I play that a lot.
Okay. All right. And do you play with other people, like your friends, or is it just people from all over the world, or how does that work?
On Roblox, I play with my friends and random people, but on Minecraft Education, usually I just play by myself.
Gotcha.
Sometimes with my friends.
Gotcha. Cool. And okay, so then, like, in what grade are you in? Like 5th or 6th, or where are you?
No, I'm in 3rd grade.
Oh, 3rd grade. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so do you have like a group of kids in your group of friends at your school that you play with?
Yeah.
That's cool. Nice.
I'm in about 2 friend groups, maybe 3. I think I'm in 3 friend groups.
3 friend groups. Okay. And how many friends are in those groups? Like 2, 3, 5, 700, 10,000?
Well, one friend group, it's only me and my 2 other friends, so that's
Okay.
3 of us. And then the other one, it's me, Samantha, Kenna, and Stella. So that's 4
Okay.
friends.
Okay. That's not bad. And this is all girlfriends. You don't have any guys, not their
No.
boyfriends, but you don't have any guys in that group yet.
No.
All right. I gotcha. Well, that sounds
And
like
then
fun.
my other friend group, we meet. We have like a little bench area at the playground, and my other friend group, we always meet at the benches at recess.
So you play during school, during
Mhm.
recess, but during school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's okay. The teachers let you do that?
No, I mean like we have like my friend groups at school. I mean like we go to the benches and we talk about stuff and like we play games. Like
Oh, I gotcha. So
we can
you're not
add-
actually playing the video game
no,
during
no,
school.
no.
Okay. I was going to say, wow, things have changed since I was in school. Okay, so how many hours do you usually play a day? Like you play then, I guess when you get home, you do your homework first and then you play?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I either go play on my phone or I go play with my friends outside.
Gotcha. Very cool. Oh, somebody says that they love your Pikachu top. Are you a fan of Pokemon?
Yeah. I don't actually play the game or watch any shows of Pokemon. But
Yeah.
I watch like YouTube videos of Pokemon clips.
Mm-hmm. Who's your favorite Pokemon character?
Eevee.
Eevee.
I love
Okay.
Eevee.
Not Pikachu, even though you have the top on?
I love Pikachu too, but I love Eevee. Eevee is my most favorite. Like
Nice. All right. Oh, are you looking forward to Santa coming?
Yes.
Yeah. What have you asked Santa to bring you?
Mini brands.
mini brands?
I like mini brands.
What's a mini brand? I don't educate me. What is that?
Mini brands are like they're like little mini toys. Like for example, I have like mini foods.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a mini shampoo. It doesn't actually have shampoo in it, but I mean like.
Oh, okay, I see. So it's stuff that you would buy, but it's just little small things, like a mini thing
Yeah.
of it. Did I understand that right? Like I guess like for airplanes. I don't know. Have you been on an airplane before?
Yeah, I've been on an airplane before.
Yeah, like you get like small little things to go on, or like for when you're packing up for a vacation, you, instead of bringing a big bottle of whatever, you bring a little small thing. That's what a mini brand is.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right, cool. Do you have any questions for me now that I'm a big YouTube star?
No,
I've
it's
got
okay.
I've got 100 million subscribers.
Awesome.
No, it's fine. I don't have any questions. It's fine.
No questions. Yeah, well, your grandmother is popular. I have 100 million subscribers. She has 5 billion subscribers. Did you know that?
I do not believe him.
I'm telling you a lie. I'm lying to you. Sorry, Skylar.
It's okay.
I don't mean to lie to you. That's not proper. Well, thank you very much for being with us. And I guess tomorrow, right? We'll see you tomorrow about this time. All right, cool. Well, thank you, and we'll be able to talk a little bit more then.
Thank you for having me on the show
Sure.
tonight.
All right. Thank you. We'll see you later. Have a good night.
You too.
Well, thank you guys for letting my granddaughter have her debut on YouTube. So I appreciate you all.
Absolutely.
Skylar, get out of there. Skylar, stay out of the bedroom.
She goes from being an internet star to getting yelled at for being in her bedroom.
So anyway, thank you, Chris, for having me as always. Thank you, Erin, our wonderful computer whiz behind the scenes there. And thank you for helping me with my computer issues. Everybody, don't forget, if you didn't hit that like button when you first came in, please do it before you leave. And when the stream is over, whether you liked what I had to say or not, or agree or not, leave a comment afterwards, because it really does help the channel. And thank you for being very gracious and allowing Skylar to have some airtime. I appreciate you.
Oh, no worries, no worries. And don't forget, this is your show. This is Jules Investigates. So I'm just the facilitator. This is your show.
Please, so. It's not my show.
I'm just a little man in the corner.
I'm going to leave the studio so you could do your closing.
All right. Thank you, Jules. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
All right. Have a good night. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us for episode 2 of Jules Investigates. It was pretty interesting, a little bit sad, because 2 lawyers that we really like seem to be kind of squabbling a little bit. So hopefully they can resolve this amicably. And ultimately, it's about Maya and Jack and Kyle. Hopefully they can move forward and get some resolution. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Erin. I know we were trying a new software, OBS, and we tested it. Everything was fine. Of course, when we go live, we had some sound issues, but we're hoping to get that sorted out soon. So we bounced over to StreamYard, and of course, Erin handled all of that flawlessly and seamlessly. So kudos to her. Thank you to our mods, OnlyFan, Julie, Therapist Thank you, guys. I think Brad also, I saw you in there. Thank you for showing up and being just everything that you are. Tomorrow, we are going to stream the OnlyFans trial tomorrow at 9, and then in the morning, and then at 4 o'clock, you heard Skylar and I talking about it. We're going to have our first ever inaugural Christmas Eve special with friends and special guests. So I hope you guys join us for that. That's going to start at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern time. And we're just going to let it run. We're going to be like Kramer, and we're going to drive on empty, and we'll go as long as we can. Jules is going to join us. Sneaky's going to join us. Therapist will be there. My friend Tony will be there. Florida PL Sam will be there. And then I've reached out to a couple content creators. So let's see if they show up. You guys definitely know who they are, and it will be a lot of fun. So hopefully you will join us then. And again, thank you so much for joining us. I am the Squeegee of Justice, and we will see you down the road. Thanks. Bye.